get extra credit for going so late.
Yeah, that's fine.
Are you like worried about the current presidential
Administration
yeah.
stripping regulations?
Not regards to this topic, no. No, for one part, everyone, I don't think anyone involved in this space has any intention of changing direction.
Yeah.
This is for the
So
sake.
private sector businesses, like, they want sustainable. They're not going to change if it's like less money.
No one in the game today that's been influenced by the last 10 years has not put this as part of their internal structure today.
Yeah.
So no one's about to react based upon temporary change of outlook. There's no business sense to make a change. It wouldn't be a good move. So no, I wouldn't perceive any changes there. We might see a slowing down of the improvement. We've had a very rapid acceleration during the Obama administration of the energy consumption of our buildings in terms of the code. The code, we use a fraction of the energy we would have in a new building prior to the Obama administration, because they just really helped drive these changes through the Environmental Protection Agency and Department of Energy. So we'll lose from that progress, and we'll see some temporary glitches with regards to stuff, but this is a great example of, we're going to see how elastic we are as a culture to take these kinds of ridiculous little hits and then bounce back and move forward. So I don't, we're a 350-year-old company. We look at something like this as just a hiccup. It's just a hiccup. We'll recover and keep moving.
I think.
Well, we have one more. Working here, have you had any favorite or most innovative projects you've worked on?
Oh boy, what week is it? I'm not kidding you. Every week is like another absolutely incredible thing. We've got ones now that would blow your mind. I can't talk about though because they're in non-disclosure agreements. They haven't happened yet, but they're some of the coolest possible things you could think of. Totally zero energy, zero waste, off the grid conference centers for people. Things like that. This project I'm working on right now with a really famous name that's out there, not in the building industry, that wants to do this. So it's a really, really cool thing. It was restricted to this company or in this topic of the career? Because I worked on the White House for 9 years. I could talk about that forever. I can tell you all about the White House and President William Jefferson Clinton and George Herbert Walker Bush, Bush Elder. I've met both of them, worked with both of them on their house. So that was really cool. But that's kind of different from this topic. In this company, in this topic, I could say that there's, from the coolest buildings out there, like the Bullitt Center in Seattle. Look up the Bullitt Center in Seattle. That's the first high-rise living building challenge. That building takes no energy, no water, no anything off the system, generates no waste, regenerates in place. Actually has a positive impact on its environment. I worked on that building. Those are some of the really cool things. That was not an off-the-shelf building. That is not something anybody else has replicated today, but it's a proof of concept to show that you can do this. And you can show them how people react in spaces and all that kind of good stuff. So I've gotten to work on a lot of buildings like that. And again, what week is it? Because every week you get to work on another one, and it's really cool. And again, there's some really amazing stuff coming around the corner that's going to blow people's minds. Truly. If I could give you one example in closing of the importance of this topic, of what we do in terms of the built environment, and what, if you're thinking about going into this, what you might think about as being a designer or something like that, is the story of the Hall of Mirrors. The Hall of Mirrors was the first job we ever had. We created the mirrors. Prior to that space, the largest mirror you could buy in the world was about that size. And because we never made glass that was flat. We floated glass and it was imperfect and it was all rippled, and so you couldn't make a large mirror because the whole image would be distorted. You only had the small ones, good little sections of glass you could do, and that was it. So we invented the casting table to make pieces of glass that large, and we made mirrors that large for the very first time. We did that to create the Hall of Mirrors. Our company was formed and commissioned by Louis XIV. So that was our first job. That was our first order. But what's the importance of that? Well, the Hall of Mirrors, remember this is before artificial lighting. You had candlelight, you had things like that, and you had daylight. The Hall of Mirrors, I don't know if you have a chance to visit the Palace of Versailles. You will. Everyone gets there eventually. You'll see the Hall of Mirrors, and just remember this story I'm telling you. The Hall of Mirrors, of course, is all mirrors down one side, all windows down the other. We made the windows and the mirrors. Every morning, Louis XIV and his family would walk from their personal apartment through the Hall of Mirrors to chapel to pray every morning. Everybody who wanted to do business with the king would line up in the Hall of Mirrors to wait for him to walk by, to hope he gets attention, to pull him into a conversation, to get their project discussed and get going. what they could never figure out, what no one could understand, what was, God, man, that guy walks through this hall. There's something different about him. They couldn't figure out what was different about this guy. What they didn't realize was what made him so different was he wasn't casting any shadows. Very simple thing in your life. You get accustomed to shadows around you. It becomes part of your orientation, but how you find your direction and things like that is the shadows around you. In that point, to that point in time, everyone in life had been lit from one side. You always have a shadow behind you, whether it's the sun, whether it's a candle, whatever. He was lit from both sides. He cast no shadows. When he walked through there, they never picked up on it, yet they unconsciously named him the Sun King because of those windows and those mirrors. It was architecture and building materials made a living king, made a living god. They called him the Sun King. He was just a man who was being lit from two sides for the first time. So that is kind of what we can do. If we put our minds together, we put our heads to it and figure out what can we really do, we can do amazing things. We can do amazing things with materials and with thought. And that's how we started, and that's where we're still going that way. We can do it. So.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
You're
I think
welcome.
we've covered